astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. Welcome to my in-depth look at the full moon for June. It's on the 14th. It's a supermoon and it's a strawberry supermoon. And this is super exciting because it's in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about truth. Sagittarius says we can't keep anything hidden, and that includes from ourselves. I will explain. This is going to be a full moon where revelations can bring transformative change. It also shows us that deep wounds that might have surfaced, whether that's in the public domain or whether it's on a personal level, if you've been aware of deep inner wounds that have come to the surface, they need to heal. And truth needs to be revealed and faced. Well, goodness, that does sound quite dramatic. Is it this dramatic? Let me continue. So, the sign of Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. Jupiter, our big expansive outer boy, who is one of the... Oh, my watch is talking to me. It always likes to help me. You're never alone with one of these watches. I'm not going to do any advertising. Anyway, Sagittarius stands for truth. And it shows that matters that have been hidden come to light. Now, what's happening and why this is happening is that Neptune, our planet of hidden things, of deception, of just things that are a little bit kind of mysterious, is making what we call a T-square to not only the Sun in Gemini, but also to the full moon in Sagittarius. So this is really very important because this is where we can see that anything that has been kept under wraps, kept hidden, will get exposed with this full moon. So, you know, world leaders better watch out, because I do feel that, you know, if they are trying to do anything in an underhand way, then it's going to get exposed. The light is going to be shone on what's happening. Mars, that is the ruler of Aries, Mars, who is our planet of action, energy, the physical, the body, and also Mars is the god of war. Mars is conjunct Chiron. Chiron is our asteroid who is known as the wounded healer. So this is about wounds that get exposed, that really cry out for healing. Mars, with his kind of surgical precision, shows us that that is very much what is required for the healing to take place. We have to dig down deep, whether that's on the international stage or whether it's on a more personal level. We've got to dig down deep to find out what it is that needs to be kind of exorcised from our being, from our soul, from our psyche. So whatever wounds are being inflicted by the revelations that might accompany this full moon, it's really important to pull out those roots too. So, as I was saying, world leaders may have a particularly difficult time with this kind of energy as secrets come to light and the people, the populace, demand justice. We're certainly seeing this in the UK, for example, where the government have been under the spotlight and a lot of scrutiny of their way of running things and their way of behaving. And it certainly does seem that the Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, kind of gets away with it again. And I think this is because astrologically, what's really super interesting is there's an Arabic part called the part of fortune. Now this part of fortune is in Pisces. It's conjunct Neptune, which is part of this T-square, which is causing this kind of tension with this full moon and this kind of need for secrets to be revealed. But the part of fortune is exactly on the descendant. Now the descendant of the event chart, which I set up for GMT, well it's actually for BST, British Summertime, as that's the kind of most common time zone for Europe. The descendant is very much about the other. So you might find, for instance, in personal relationships, that if something comes to light, something which on the surface might seem quite uncomfortable and difficult to face, you know what, trust it. Because this part of fortune is bringing in a kind of lucky vibe to it and saying, actually, you can have the strawberries and cream. It will be okay. But sometimes we have to go through this difficult, challenging bit, the fiery Sagittarius energy, to get to the truth. And, you know, if we think about what's been going on, not just in the UK, but also in America, in the United States of America, they've been under continued pressure to reform their gun laws. And in the chart, this is beautifully represented by Mars, our god of action, war, and could represent guns and ammunition. And Mars is conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer again, in Aries. This is like, we need healing for this. We need a more sensible and perhaps mature way of dealing with that particular system for the United States. I'm not an expert and I don't profess to be, you know, but I think it's a highly emotive topic in the United States, and there's a lot of other highly emotive topics that are coming to the fore at the moment. So, you know, we just have to be kind of aware of that energy. But because the part of fortune is conjunct Neptune and the descendant, the other, I think it brings the hope that revealed secrets, once the truth is faced, once people in power accept their part in recent dramas and responsibility, and you know, I hate to be controversial, but of course I'm going to be, President Trump, the last president of the United States, which I'm sure you don't need reminding of, is kind of, again, under the spotlight with this full moon. And if he took responsibility for his part in, say, what happened on January the 6th, then the promise of positive change becomes a real possibility. How's it going to affect us personally? So we might find we become aware of inner truths. Maybe somebody says something that just kind of sets off a chain reaction. And truths perhaps we'd rather not have had to acknowledge. That's one possibility for this energy. But you know, even though that sounds uncomfortable, it's incredibly positive. Because, you know, once we face up to situations that are no longer in alignment with our sense of inner integrity, it's such a relief to let go and move on. Because all endings, even if it's an ending of a habit or a belief, a way of being, maybe of a certain way of relating, but all endings lead to the possibilities of fabulous new growth. We've still got this exciting energy for the full moon of Venus, up close and very personal with my huge, big outer boy, Uranus, the planet of the unexpected. Surprises, shocks, all sorts of shenanigans can go on with this Venus-Uranus energy. Some of you might find that you experience wonderful, out of the blue, romantic encounters at this time. Or your other half, or even somebody that you didn't think was perhaps particularly interested in you, actually steps up and says, hey, let's go out. So those are the kind of things that you can expect with this energy. And the other thing to mention for the 14th of June, for this full moon, is that it's the day that Mercury, that is still in the shadow, Mercury is going direct now, but it's still in his shadow of that retrograde phase we had, where this was a particularly tricky one. There were I was getting all sorts of things going wrong with technical stuff and couldn't find emails, couldn't find things I'd written. Extraordinary. But the same day as this full moon, Mercury moves back into Gemini. The sign Mercury rules, our beautiful planet of communication, thought, finally moves back into Gemini, which is just going to take that sort of our foot off the brake a bit. I think we're just going to feel a surge of kind of communication. It is going to start flowing more freely. Mercury moves out of his shadow phase, which is a very astrological terminology, but it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. And he moves out of that on the 19th, and then he'll be in new territory. So I'm going to leave you with some final thoughts before I move on to do your individual star signs, and that includes, if you know your rising sign, which is also known as the ascendant, then check that one out too. But if someone or something leaves your life at this time, it's making way for what's truly meant for you. This full moon in Sagittarius is setting the scene for a change in attitude, for a significant shift, not only in world consciousness, but also in personal consciousness and awareness. And that's going to unfold over the coming next few months. So I'm just going to have a sip of water, and I'll move on to your individual signs. And remember, as I said, if you know what your ascendant is, rising sign, check that one out too. Aries, what's this full moon going to do for you? Let's find out. Well, it's going to highlight for you your sense of needing to break out, break away, go away, journey anywhere from where you are now. So I think, and even if that can only take place on a kind of cerebral level, there's a sense that you really want to just change your environment, change your surroundings. If you have the opportunity to travel, you will jump at it. You might even be making some definite plans, whether it's by train, boat, bus, plane, hitchhiking, whatever your mode of transport is, you are really going to want to move with this full moon. Because I think what's happening for you, Aries, is that there are some kind of feelings and thoughts coming into your conscious awareness that you're beginning to see the truth about certain matters that have been happening in your life. And you really want to move away from those now. You want to just put them in the past and use that kind of part of fortune that is conjunct Neptune to manifest some of your dreams and maybe some of your romantic dreams. Let's move on to Taurus. Okay, Taurus, I think for you, this full moon is going to be quite transformational. Now I say that because I think you're going to be looking at new ways, different ways to approach and deal with your kind of economic strategy. And it doesn't matter whether you've got £5, €5 or 500 or more. You're looking at a different way. It feels as if you are really taking stock, looking at what's been happening in the world, like paying attention to the news in terms of how it's been affecting us economically, and the huge inflation that we are probably going to be sort of moving towards, which is all very concerning. And I think you will be kind of thinking, right, I'm going to nip this in the bud. I'm going to take that action now. I'm going to really tighten my belt, hold back on buying things that really I don't need. And that's the way I feel this full moon is going to affect you. I think it's going to nip in the bud any of your extravagances for the luxuries of life. Doesn't mean you can't still have them. You will, but you'll find a different way to bring them into your life. Gemini. Well, Gemini, our sign of communication, of cerebral thought. Gemini, for you, of course, you now have the sun in your sign, and it's your birthday season. So, Gemini, happy birthday. Hope you have a fabulous next 12 months round the sun. And the full moon for you brings the light into the area of your close, significant relationships. Now, this is where I'm going to say there may be changes that need to happen. It may be that you have some frank, honest discussions with your other half. This can even be a business partner. And that either you agree to go your separate ways, or you agree to completely change the kind of way you are both approaching the relationship so that it can move to a better and higher level. So that's part of the energy that can be around. I want to just say at this point, before I move on to Cancer, that I know a lot of you are out there watching this live on Facebook, and thank you so much for joining me. And I see the little messages come up, and I try not to allow myself to get distracted. But good evening to all of you that are tuning in at the moment. And Sue, I can see you're online, and I'll probably come and check out your live that you're doing on Facebook at 9 o'clock, which is that Central European time, 8 o'clock UK time, where you give lovely tarot readings. So I will check that out when I've finished my live. Okay, so let's move on to Cancer. Cancer, this full moon for you is about you having to face up to facts about your daily routine. The way you take care of yourself, the way you structure your days, the details of all of that. It's like you really do need to find a better way to take care of you. And that might mean cutting out, like pruning, some of the obligations you have which really don't serve you well. So look very carefully, Cancer, at what's in your life. You know, there might be people that are kind of actually just kind of, it suits them to have you around, and maybe it's about thinking, well, does it actually suit me, and what am I getting out of this? How is it feeding me? You know, Cancer, you're such a nurturing sign. You need to be nurtured too. So that's for you, Cancer. Now let's move on to Leo. with our beautiful mane of golden fur. Okay, Leo, for you, actually I think you're going to have quite a good time with this full moon. I think there could be some romantic opportunities that pop up, especially with that Uranus-Venus energy in Taurus. I do feel that's a strong possibility for you, Leo. Also, if we look at it in terms of what might leave your life or what might end, you know what, Leo? If you're single, it could mean that by the time the energy of this full moon has worn off, you're not really single anymore. You could find yourself in a kind of situation which you're really quite chuffed about. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds with you. Virgo, this full moon for you is about what's happening at home. I think you want to make some changes, and I think part of this Sagittarius energy is you having to be very truthful with yourself about how things work within the family framework. And if there's someone who's not pulling their weight, it's about really getting them to kind of step up. So that's the kind of energy that I feel is around for you with this. I think we also have to look at what's going on in Pisces, which is your opposite sign, because this is where you've got Neptune and the part of fortune. And I do feel that there's something about this full moon energy which is really going to actually boost your relationship and make your relationship move to a better level, a kind of higher level. I think that's going to be really super exciting for you. Scorpio. Okay, Scorpio. So, this full moon... Oh no, I've missed out Libra. Sorry Libra, I'm here. I haven't forgotten you. Libra. Okay, Libra, this for you is in the part of your chart that is to do with communication. And I think you're quite fired up about something. And I think you've got a few choice words to say to people that are in your kind of closer locale, your sort of local community. And, you know, if people aren't pulling their weight in sort of community projects, you will really have something to say about that. You're very fair-minded, Libra. And if we look at where that Neptune part of fortune energy is for you, this is actually highlighting for you your daily interactions with others and with work colleagues. And I do feel that once you've nipped in the bud what's bothersome in your local community, you can really, you know, it's like neighbours, people that, you know, your next door neighbours. If there's sort of a bit of bickering going on, this can really help to smooth the way and make things a lot easier. Now I'm coming on to Scorpio, and let's see what's happening for you, Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, sometimes you are your own worst enemy. We can all be that, so it's not just the domain of Scorpio, but we can all be a little bit kind of, sometimes not very kind to ourselves. But this full moon for you is about your inner worth, your value, how you value you. And it's very much about, if you've been feeling very kind of down, or that things have just not been working out for you, then I do feel this full moon is helping you to just lift your energy. And I think you're going to pick up on some projects that you've been a little bit kind of confused about, not sure if you should look at them, pick them up, do something with them, but you're going to actually pick some of these projects up. And I think it's like it's the end of procrastination. You're actually going to sort of say, right, I'm now going to take action. Now, you will have to work out what that's about, because we all have all sorts of interesting projects going on. And because of where Neptune and the part of fortune is, it could even be to do with romance. You might have a project or a kind of a mission with someone in mind. So just keep that in mind. Sagittarius. Well, of course, this is your full moon, Sagittarius. This is about you. I feel, Sagittarius, that this is actually going to be a profoundly honest and truthful full moon for you. I think you're going to be making some really big changes to how people experience you. I do feel that you will be, people are going to notice how much you've changed, especially family. Family are really going to sit up and take notice, because I think you've decided with some of the way that people experience you, it's not how you want to be seen. It's not how you want to be understood. So with this full moon energy, I think you're deciding enough is enough. I'm changing. You may do something literally, like changing your hair, changing the way you make up, changing the way you dress. But I feel as if change is very necessary for you with this full moon, Sagittarius. Capricorn. Our goats. You still running up that hill. I love that song, and it's got famous again, hasn't it? With that, with the show Stranger Things. I've never actually watched Stranger Things, but I think I might go to bed with Netflix tonight and have a little look at that. So yes, Capricorn the goat is always running up that hill, well, climbing up that hill. And for you, this is a really interesting one. It's about inner revelations. You are waking up in quite a big way, Capricorn. You are thinking, well, now I can see quite clearly how people have been, or why people have been reacting or behaving the way they do towards me. And I think this is going to help you communicate with yourself in a much better way, in a more honest way. It's like there might be some uncomfortable truths that come up for you about other people, about how other people see you, about who you are to them. But you know what? It's better that you know, so that you can do something about it and change it. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And I think with all these zodiac signs, it's really important to remember the presence of the part of fortune, which is exactly what it says. And this is in this full moon equation. The part of fortune is about good fortune. So, as I said in the overview, anything that goes at the moment, anything that is ripped away from you, even if it's something on an inner level, it's good. It's so positive. Aquarius. Aquarius. This for you is very much about how you connect with the sort of the community at large, with larger groups of people. Are you getting involved in new projects, or maybe talking to groups of people, or it may be that you are finding your feet in a kind of newfound kind of vocation, that you feel moved to almost, and maybe some people literally, channel information that comes to you that surprises you and will also surprise others. But it feels like your whole being, your whole sense of consciousness is just going to go up a gear. And that can't be bad, can it, Aquarius? And remember, you've got Saturn in your sign retrograde now. So Saturn is actually slowing you down a bit and giving you time to reflect. So just be aware of that. And if things are taking time, and actually this goes for everyone, if something is taking time, trust the timing. Delays are there for a reason. Trust it. Pisces, my lovely fishes swimming in opposite directions, my oceans of emotions. Pisces, it's about your career. Well, you're making big changes, you're making big decisions about what's next. And it's helped by you kind of like removing the scales from your eyes about things, information, the way people behave towards you. It's about moving away those scales and just thinking, well, I don't know about this. I'm not sure that, certain people really have my back. Check out, Pisces, who's on your team. It's always important to check out that we have the right team behind us. And I think for you, Pisces, it's exactly that. Check out your team. And if you need to do any pruning and culling, even if it's your Facebook friends list, then wonderful energy to do that with. So there we have lovely Pisces. And as I said, thank you again for the lovely comments that are coming up on the feed. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Charlotte. And thank you so much for joining me for this live full moon, supermoon in Sagittarius, a strawberry supermoon. And please check out my YouTube channel. And whilst you're there, I'd be super happy if you could subscribe. That would be fantastic. And also, I want to thank Gozo in the House, who have hosted tonight's live. And thank you to all the hard efforts they do. If you haven't been to their page yet, do check them out. They have an online digital magazine telling you about everything that's going on in Gozo. It really is superb and brilliant work, and their team work really hard. And I appreciate that, as I know all their Gozo fans appreciate too. So again, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.